This spring my partner and me did a 3-week wildlife safari in Thailand. We arrived in Bangkok and then took the night train down to Surat Thani, where we had a little break before we had further transport on. While we were sitting and having a nice cold drink, waiting for our minibus, we spotted a zebra dove that was first walking around in front of the cafe and then flew up in a tree. We also had a tiny little bird, a scarlet-backed flower pecker, that was building a nest, and also lots of the Asian glossy starlings, a few of the ornate sunbirds, and again lots and lots of the common miners. We then took a minibus to Khao Sok National Park. Now, most Thailand videos you will find on YouTube are about people having their holidays, visiting temples, seeing the landscape, showing what food they've been eating. You won't really find any of this in this video. This is purely about our wildlife experience that we had in Thailand. Saying that we did film a bit of the landscape, it's just breathtaking. Driving amongst these limestone cliffs covered in thick jungle. Unfortunately, there are areas where the jungle has been cut down to make place for plantations, mainly coconut palm, palm oil palm, and rubber plantations. But the closer you get to Khao Sok National Park, the less houses you see, the less signs of civilization, only just the odd little house in between. Still, so plantations are more or less everywhere in between. Most of the resorts and hotels for Khao Sok are on the main road in front of the entrance to the national park, and it can get quite busy and noisy there. So we opted for a slightly more quiet place, the Green Mountain View Resort, slightly away. And shortly after arriving, we did our first wildlife tour down the road towards the tiny little river, and we started straight away spotting insects everywhere, like these interesting day-flying moths. A lot of pretty big millipedes that are crawling up the trees and are to be found more or less everywhere. And as soon as you come to the little puddles along the river, you see so many butterflies in all different colorations and sizes. It's quite interesting to see how some butterflies are trying to camouflage themselves as much as possible to stay hidden away, while other ones are brightly colored with interesting patterns. Some are tiny little blue ones, other ones are brightly colored jays with interesting eye spots. You get the day-flying moths as we had before as well, brightly orange colored ones. Beside the butterflies, there are so many dragonflies and damselflies as well. And it didn't take us long to see our first geckos and other lizards. We saw a gliding lizard, unfortunately just sitting still. They were both on the same tree, together with one of the millipedes, of course. But as soon as you started looking, you saw the geckos hiding away, not just on the house walls, but on the trees, on fences. There are quite a few different species of geckos. Just like with any of the other species, we always try to get the identifications right, but there might be errors. So don't take our word for everything. Lots of spotted forest skinks on the ground scurrying away as soon as they saw us. And inside the forest, we managed to see one of the bigger lizards, the oriental garden lizard, in a nice bright orange color. Some quite big spiders that are similar to our wasp spiders, and yes, it is me in the background. I got quite close. We saw our first mantis, only a tiny little one, unfortunately. Also some Himalayan striped squirrel, and then of course lots of different plants and flowers, banana flowers, heliconia flowers. Some interesting seed pods as well from a stinking bean, and there are fruit growing everywhere as well, mainly the jackfruit. And we also had our first proper rain shower in the middle of the rainforest. Didn't take long, and the ants were straight out again after all the rain. One of the most common ants we saw in the jungle or along the passes were the Asian marauder ants, with the quite big sized worker ones, but the huge soldier ones amongst them. So it's the same species, just different classes. And we didn't realize that in the evening we had the flying ant day. So sitting in the restaurant, attracted by the light, we had lots of ants flying around. Some of them already being eaten by other ants or other animals. Especially the toads enjoyed the feast. We had a couple of the common Asian toads living kind of underneath the restaurant in some gaps. They came out. I think we had at least 3 in one of the holes, and during that night with the ants flying, I think we saw about 5 of them hopping around, just picking them up as the ants were more or less crawling over them. After dinner we picked our torches up and did another walk down towards the river to see a lot of the night thriving animals, like a lot of the huntsman spiders. We did see quite a lot of them along the path. Quite a lot of different caterpillars from moths and butterflies came out during the night. Just like the adult moths and butterflies, some are more camouflaged than others. Some have striking eye spots. Other ones have some long irritating hair or spiky hair. And a lot of the African giant snails were out. They can get even bigger than the ones that we found, up to the size of a whole hand. And even the slugs look very interesting, almost velvety. And of course next to the river we found many different species of frogs and toads, many frogs, like the paddy field frogs. A huge green paddy frog which was the size of almost a guinea pig. Other ones are quite a bit smaller, but more or less all of them are very noisy, all have some different calls. One of the most common frogs that we saw usually was the Asian painted frog, which looks almost more like a toad. Blows itself up when it thinks it's in danger and doesn't really jump like most of the frogs, but more hops around. Some of the tiny little frogs are hardly visible amongst the leaf litter. We saw a lot of these type of narrow-mouthed frogs, and despite their small size, I think they were definitely one of the loudest ones. While some small frogs were hiding on the ground in beneath the leaves, you had to look up sometimes as well, because in the trees you had the tree frogs. We only managed to find the one species of tree frog, the Southeast Asian tree frog, but we found them on several occasions in different habitats close to water. Another frog we found on the higher vegetation was this quite small but brightly green coloured white-lipped frog. And in the water we found some interesting bugs, which we're not too sure what they are. Also some freshwater crabs. Couple of different types of fish. And as we were standing and trying to take photos of the fish, something was moving pretty quickly towards us. It was a snake that had just caught a fish. Turns out to be a tough-faced water snake that had caught a triatrack eel. It's only mildly venomous, so it was holding on to its prey until it was subdued enough to be eaten. But we were watching the whole fight going on for at least 10 minutes, and it was right next to us, didn't pay attention at all to us. We got really close to it, possibly just about half a meter away. It wasn't bothered about our presence. Even started swimming closer to my partner. And as our close-up cameras, our Olympus TG6 and TG7s, are waterproof, he even dared to put the camera into the water right next and filmed it under the water. What an amazing encounter on our first day in Thailand, and there was so much more to come. Please like and subscribe to the channel to see the other wildlife adventures on our trip through Thailand. Thank you for watching.